You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Friday, May 8th virtual show. Again, because COVID-19, we've moved the show virtually out of studio. We will get back to studio at some point in time, but you can catch us on podcast. You can also listen to us on air on Saturday at 3 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sunday at 8 p.m. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint, 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We're here to connect you with the guests that we have on the show. You can call it 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now on our virtual studio, Kerstin O'Shields of O'Shields Studio LLC, your body language online right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Kerstin, again, welcome back. So happy to hear from you today.
Well, thank you for having me here again. I love your show, and I am so excited to be here.
Absolutely. A little bit about Kerstin before we get started. With 25 years in training and performing in theater and opera, Kerstin O'Shields has acquired an in-depth knowledge of all levels of communication. Kerstin brings her unique skills, talents, and understanding on nonverbal communication to life. Kerstin is the CEO and founder of Body Language Strategy System, a training program for learning to communicate leadership and executive presence through enhanced body language and expression, messaging, and leveraging leadership skills. Kerstin speaks and trains nationally body language strategy for business and has performed keynote speeches for organizations such as Google, eBay, National Women's Association of Realtors, and Miss Washington program.
Kerstin, so I'm always so intrigued with, you present yourself so well all the time. You exude like this energy and this confidence all the time. And I've seen you shift it on purpose because you were a keynote speaker at one point. So I saw, I could see you just with your body language shift. I'm curious, are you conveying confidence now? What are you conveying at this point?
Well, I'm conveying all the things that show leadership and to help you show what you offer and invite people in to the purpose and the passion that you want to communicate out. So that's it. It's my job to walk my talk of how do we show up with confidence? How do we convey our competence? How do you invoke trust in who you're talking to? And how do you make yourself approachable, all without saying a word? Because our wording in our communication is actually only 7% of the full communication. 55% of our communication is our gesturing and our facial expressions. And then 38% is our vocal tone, how we're saying it. So yes, you have to know what you want to say. You have to be clear about that, but it's really about how are you delivering that and how are you showing up when you're saying it, because that's the permission you give people of how they're going to interact with you and your business.
Yeah, and that can be exciting news, or it can be really scary news if you don't have confidence in the way that you present. So I hope that our listeners to the show today really take this, and that's why it's so important. We know from training to watch yourself on video, and that's why, so you can actually watch and feel and notice that you actually are not smiling at any point in the time, or you have a stressed out look communicating. So Kerstin, let's talk about, by your confidence in your body language, are you able to put people at ease by showing that?
Yes, absolutely. Because what it does is when you're truly standing and exuding your confidence, what you're doing is you're bringing the two concepts of I am fully present to be here with you, and you are invited to be here with me too. So the beauty of that is it's not when people come in and actually are truly looking confident, that's not coming in being overbearing. That's coming in being inviting. And that's where you're going to start the basis of a good business relationship, is by you actually showing up confidently in your body language, because then that actually magnetizes people to you. And you're your number one business tool. So how they magnetize to you is how they're going to magnetize to your business.
Kerstin, let me ask you, I was blessed to have an awesome mentor, and he said one of the keys to being successful in business and doing a lot of transactions is you got to convey to customers, they have to trust you, they have to like you, and then trust, like, and are you professional? I almost forgot that one. Jeez Louise, brain fart, burp, excuse me. Are you professional? Because they don't want to do business with people that are not professional. So the first part of that, I think, is trust. How do I convey trust to my customers when I meet them? With my body language, of course.
Right. So when we're talking about the human interaction, the basis of our human interaction always comes from the primal brain. That's looking at, do I feel safe around you? And that's what starts that first level of trust. So when we show up interacting with someone else, from the bottom part of the jaw down to the front pelvic bone, in the front, this is where we have the least amount of bone coverage for all of our vital organs. So when we show up being open in the front of our body, that's when we're exuding out, okay, I'm going to trust you with my physicality. So now remember, we emotionally respond to what we physically see. So when we physically see that, we go, okay, this person's giving me some space. And then that's encouraging the other person to do the same thing. So when you're exuding out, I'm going to open myself and be trustworthy to you. You're reflecting that out, and therefore they reflect it back in turn and go, okay, yeah, let's jump into this together. I'm going to go into that with you. So opening yourself up. And again, even in this virtual space, that's a big deal. And most people don't think about that, because we see a lot of people are hunching over, leaning on their desk, or they've really pulled away from the screen a lot. And they don't realize you're still in that visual space. We're still emotionally responding to what we're physically seeing. So what you convey out is still being responded to. You're not, even though we're not in person, you're not absent. And because we're not used to, usually when we're looking at a screen, we're used to not having any emotional responsibility to it. We're used to just, I can look at it, I can react, I'm looking at my phone, I can laugh, I can not laugh. But we're not used to having that, oh my gosh, I have to be emotionally responsible to what's happening in front of me. That little bit of barrier of screen has messed with our minds a little bit. Some people have fully jumped into it and they are now ultra aware, almost too much, and it's freaking them out. And then we have the other side where people are just totally oblivious and doing all sorts of wild, great, like I said, eating, they're running all over the place. And so being straight on, being present and being open is really essential in this new virtual space to create that business trust.
Could be a little intimidating talking about this right now, live while we're on a Zoom video. But I want to kind of get into approachable, because in a networking environment, when you're face-to-face, we are not face-to-face, live face-to-face now. But when we get back live and you're with a group of people, you even know with a group of people, if there's two people that are really dialed in and toned into each other, it's your body language is saying that this is really an important conversation. If you're in a group of people and you have that circle closed, it means that you're not inviting anybody else to come into that conversation. And the majority of the time it's subconsciously, but you want to be aware of that. So let's talk about approachable. When you want to stand tall and confident in your message and portray that, how do you do that and bring in the warmth as well so people feel that you're approachable?
Well, again, you have to keep yourself open in your physicality, right? Give them space, create that invitation. But approachable is really about it's the stance and the facial emotional status that you're showing. So you can have really good posture. You can be completely open. However, if you have a nasty look on your face, it doesn't matter what that conversation, how, what direction you're facing, they're going to be like, ooh, wow, I don't even want to be anywhere near that. So how we approach emotionally in our conversations and into a room is the permission, again, we're giving of, okay, I'm going to give you space to come in, or this is where you start to repel people. And so that's why I use the word magnetizing, because that polar switch can happen super quick. And like you said before, people don't realize they think they're smiling when they're not. And they're totally oblivious. They either have a totally blank look on their face, or they got a little bit of a sneer on their face, and they wonder why people aren't wanting to approach them. They're not giving permission.
So, Kerstin, you do this for a living. In your experience, what do you see that directly affects people's businesses and how they approach it with body language?
So what I see is when you're showing up on purpose, that is where people get a deeper understanding of what the experience is going to be of working with you and connecting with your business. And the key aspect of this is consistency. When we're showing up consistent, what we're doing is we're removing that fear of the unknown, and we're pulling people in because they feel like they know what it's going to be like to work with you. And that starts to create a comfortable space, that creates that invitation. That's where, because now I'm seeing this on a regular basis, that trust is growing. It's easy. And now you have more buy-in. So this starts in how you attract business. When they see consistency in your presence, in your body language, again, that feels like, okay, I feel like I know what I'm getting into. And then because they have that consistency, now you have bigger buy-in through your process. So you're not answering the same question over and like, okay, come on, no, really, actually, this is a good direction. Well, let's sit down and talk about this again. When you have to over-exaggerate and overdo that body language, it starts to actually pull them back. And you're wondering, why are we having such a big discussion about this? There's been some kind of inconsistency. But if you create consistency with your presence, now they're willing and they fully buy into everything. You ask in your process what you are going to do for them, and then they become your walking billboard as a reference. So this affects every ounce of your sales process, and it physically buys you back time to either put back into your business or to put into your family and your loved ones.
So Kerstin, as we're wrapping up here, less than a minute, but I want to ask this question is, what are body language strategy tools and tips in the 4 pillars of leadership, competence, trust, and approachability? You've got 60 seconds.
What I would say is the first thing, confidence is the cornerstone for all of these. If you're showing up in trust, approachability, and competence, you're still not going to be conveying at 100% if you don't back those up with confidence. So standing tall, being present fully, that is key to everything you do. And then the main thing is practice smiling and knowing when you're smiling. The physical feeling of smiling may not actually be the look you're giving. And so you've got to get clear on, are you actually conveying out what you think you are to get that consistent response that you want?
Yeah, great advice. Kerstin, thank you so much for sharing here with us on the Money Hour, for coming as my speaker at my Power Hour Lunch and Learns, which, by the way, we've got to get you booked. Of course, we've moved it virtually, but yeah. And thanks for being a great friend as well. Oh, really quickly, give out your shout out for your Coffee with Kerstin Facebook show.
Yeah. So that's one of the virtual changes we've made. I actually have 2 virtual shows that I do now every week. It's Coffee with Kerstin, where we sit down every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and we talk about the changes that we're going through and how to approach your business life, and what are some tools and tips that you can do to start taking that to the next level. And then we end our week with our wins and just a fun happy hour with cocktails with Kerstin. And that's every Friday at 3 p.m.
Love it. Kerstin, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Coming up next on the Money Hour, Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight. Now more than ever is the time to take control of your personal finances, right here at 1150 AM KKNW.